Thank you. That was a very good question. As you all, well, maybe you all don't know, but the state now is offering computer-based testing for their exams for the treatment and distribution. Heather, you probably are more closely tied to this because you have operators, as do most of you, that need to get certified. So I think the primary focus would be on current operators getting their certification. But you're right, there's going to be a huge backlog. We have review courses for the distribution and treatment. I didn't know when to offer them, so I offered them like May 3rd. And a lot of the students are saying, no, we need it now, but unfortunately that's what's in the schedule. We can't change it. But to answer your question, I think the priority will be on existing operators so that they will get certification. Is there anything you can add on that?
Is the college thinking about bringing back the Hot Topic Saturdays?
We're looking into that with the Zoom and everything and how it's working out. I think that's a good thing that we can try to look at. But currently, what we're doing now is we're offering a 4-week kind of crash course for distribution, the level 1 and 2, and then the kind of higher distribution and treatment 3 and 4 exams. So it's a crash course designed. When it was scheduled, you would have 4 weeks and then you take the exam. And we got a lot of good results from our students with respect to that. But now there's no scheduled exam dates. So it's kind of difficult for us to plan accordingly to help the students.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is everybody familiar with the FAQ and the information that they did put out on their website about that? So that gives some indication as far as some questions that might be out there from people that are looking at exams. Hopefully they're going to, you know, with this launch, they're going to kind of year-round testing. So once they get rolling and testing sessions open, I think it'll be smoother. But it's like you said, there will be a backlog, and they'll be processing those before they they'll have to get a handle on that before they move forward with processing the new applications that come in.
Good. Thank you, Heather. And can we have a brief introduction? I think we have a small enough group where we can introduce each of ourselves such that we kind of know who we're talking to. How do you want to start it? Lauren, can you introduce yourself? I'm just going by what's on the screen here.
Yeah, I'm Lauren Hatch. I'm with Irvine Ranch Water District. I'm the supervisor for the cross connection and backflow program there. So we rely heavily on your backflow tester course and getting those guys licensed.
Thank you. Heather?
Hi, this is Byron from Golden State Water Company. I'm in Human Resources. I'm one of the HCM business partners at Golden State Water Company.
Thank you, Byron.
Sorry, I had a trash truck going by. It was kind of noisy. Heather Collins, Metropolitan Water District. I'm the manager of the water treatment section. What that means is the 5 regional plants that Metropolitan operates. I oversee all the activities, maintenance, operation that goes on at those 5 plants across the area. And also involved with our new program, Regional Recycled, with our partner, LA County Sanitation District, where we're currently operating a half MGD demonstration plant on their Carson JWPCP site down in Carson. So we have online tours and stuff available for that. So that might be of interest.
Thank you. Anyone else? Grant, I'm just going across from what I see on my screen. Can you?
Yeah.
Please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Grant Thornton. I work with the Department of Water Resources in their Division of Engineering, Environmental Coordination section. So I do environmental compliance for state water projects.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Wonderful to see all of you. Lisa Haney, Irvine Ranch Water District, Environmental Compliance Manager. And I'm looking forward to developing pathways for environmental compliance. It's not a career area that many people talk about, and I think it's one that could be developed, as well as all of the water samplers who collect water samples who need certifications. I think we also need a pathway for them as well.
Thank you. I was just taking notes. Mike Sullivan.
Good morning. I'm Mike Sullivan. I'm with the Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts. I'm the Assistant Department Head of our Technical Services Department, which is essentially regulatory compliance for all of our wastewater and solid waste facilities, along with other supporting sections like research, environmental health and safety, and all of our laboratories.
Thank you. Dan West.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm with Molten Miguel Water District, Superintendent of Operations, Customer Service Field reports to me, and also proactive leak detection. I really think moving forward, there's going to be a lot of opportunity forced by legislation to identify water loss. So I think that should be a big part, moving forward with the curriculum there at San Diego is proactive leak detection and exposing the students to that. So I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Ms. Bowers.
Hi everyone, my name is Marie Bowers. I work for Irvine Ranch Water District in Human Resources, and we are intimately involved with Santiago Canyon College, and we hope to continue that experience with them as well.
Thank you. Tom Eastman.
Hi. Okay. I'm Tom Eastman from South Coast Water District. I'm actually also a graduate of the Water Utility Sciences at Santiago Canyon, and I work in kind of one foot in operations, one in engineering. I work directly for the Director of Operations or Chief Operations Officer, and put together bid packages and things like that, and work a lot with the guys in the field, and have been working on trying to get most of our employees, field employees, have actually gotten their certification through Santiago Canyon College.
Thank you. Ian, good to see you.
Yeah, Jeffrey, long time no see. It seems like yesterday we were doing that social media video where you were towering over me by 2 feet. But good morning, everyone. Good to see everyone again. I remember, last time we were in person, definitely a strong IRWD presence. I see that it's returned, which is great. We love working with you guys. And hi, Marie Bowers. We've been talking on the phone lately, so it's nice to see a face to the voice. I'm the Human Resources Manager at Molten Miguel, and I'm joined today with Mr. Dan West, who has already introduced himself, and then we also have our Director of Operations on the phone, and so hopefully he can jump on and voice all of his wisdom as well. But good to see everyone.
Thank you. Miss Amanda Campbell.
Hi, good morning. My name is Amanda Campbell. I'm with Santiago Canyon College as one of the part-time counselors, so I'm just sitting and kind of listening, gaining some knowledge.
Thank you. My friend Erwin Yankovic, how are you?
I'm good. I'm Erwin Jankovic, as I mentioned, at the Metropolitan Water District. We used to work with Jeffrey and others and Heather. And so my particular interest, I'm the strategic program manager in the HR group. And I'm just kind of poking around. I used to run technical training many decades ago now, but I'm interested in kind of learning about, if it comes up, soft skill or leadership development that would be tailored more to people on the operations side of the world. I think that just increase our understanding of how we can modify our leadership development and other learning programs to better address the needs of people on this side of the world.
Thank you, Erwin. Tiffany Mitchell.
Hi, good morning. I work for Irvine Ranch Water District and Human Resources, along with my colleagues Marie and Lisa.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Byron, Rosa?
This is Byron from Golden State Water and Human Resources.
Thank you. Ms. Steife, how are you?
I'm well. I'm from Santiago Canyon College. I'm a division secretary for business and CTE and work with Jeffrey in all the classes.
He makes everything work. Thank you, Amy. Colt Martin?
Hi, I'm Colt Martin. I'm with Irvine Ranch Water District. I'm the mechanical services manager and former student of Santiago, passed all the water utility science courses there.
Thank you. Lisa Schrader?
Hi, I'm Lisa Schrader. I'm the senior HR analyst at Irvine Ranch Water District. And Marie and I do, as she said, work closely with Santiago in our internship program that we're hoping maybe once the pandemic clears up and we can start having more people, we can start to get that off the ground.
Thank you. Grant Thornton?
I talked just a moment ago. My name is Grant Thornton. I'm with the Department of Water Resources. I'm in the environmental coordination section in the Division of Engineering.
I'm sorry if it was duplicate.
No, it was quite all right.
Dave Crow, you there with us?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Let me turn my camera on. I'm currently posted up in the garage because I have 2 kids home from college and they're in class. So I am the construction services manager at Irvine Ranch Water District. I also completed all the water classes up at the college, but it was a little while ago, back when it was in Garden Grove.
Wow.
So, but yeah, other than that, glad to be here, and hopefully we can build some relationships for recruiting and getting folks interested in water.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Todd Novick.
Hi, I'm Todd Novacek, and I'm Director of Operations at Molten Miguel Water District. And I too started at the college. I started as a meter reader, and I credit the water program there for getting me to where I'm at. And I'm super excited to be here and try and figure out ways to give this new generation the tools they need to succeed, just as the college gave it to us so many years ago. And I agree with Dan West that there's a lot of new challenges, water loss among them, and I'm looking forward to finding ways to prepare this next generation to meet those challenges. And I also include with the gentleman that brought up, or agree with the gentleman that brought up the soft skills. I think that is so important, especially as they're going through the interview process. It's a shame if they go through the school and they just don't have those soft skills to make that next step. So I look for ways to help them in that area as well.
Thank you very much. I have a long agenda, but in the interest of time, we need to hear from you, industry, what we need to teach. And I just want to touch on a couple of things that I've heard that we have courses that address. But let me just talk about our new program, which deals with automation. And it's an electronic technology certificate. And as you know, in water, we use a lot of electronic devices, whether they're PLCs, motors, valves, etc. But the course starts off with basic electricity, AC, DC currents, goes in the PLCs. We have a core course for wiring. And then we have our other core courses where you can get your certificate. And we're working with other schools to have a joint certificate in California on electronic technology. And we're hopefully going to offer the first class this upcoming fall. So I'm really excited about that. And the other thing I heard, and this is probably new to most of us, but I believe there was water sampling. Lisa, did you mention that? Is the state requiring samplers to be certified now, Heather?
Well, you have to look at also, it's complicated because in our world, and I'll use Metropolitan as an example, we have our operators, yes, take a lot of samples, and the water samplers do go through that, the Cal Nevada certification of water sampler. There's also, though, with the new laboratory certification requirements, you're going to have to give me the acronym explanation, the TNI, all the new certifications. So with that, we've made certain decisions where, because that training is so arduous and so particular, we are doing a demarcation on what our lab chemists will be analyzing for and recording versus our operators will still sample, but they won't do some of the analysis and recording. So I think there's coming up on a divergence of, who's going to be doing what and how utilities will look at who's doing what. But yeah, there's definitely still requirements out there, because you look at, the QA/QC and what's needed to go into sampling. And if something does, come back with an off tolerance result, you kind of look back, in your lineage of QA/QC, and it always comes back to how you're collecting the samples and how you're routing them and so forth. So it's definitely still that requirement.
Thank you. Just a brief introduction for myself. Most of you know me, but I'm fortunate enough to have worked with Professor Steve McLean, who has a long history in the water industry, including Metropolitan Water District. He retired, so I'm the last full-time instructor here, and to fill his shoes, it's been rough, but I am the department chair now. My background is in chemistry and engineering, 41 years at Metropolitan Water District. And to Heather's point, my last kind of job was over the laboratory to help with the certification with the TNI standards to get our laboratory up to standard. So I have a very long history in water, but what I'm hearing now, and I hear this more often than not, especially from our students, is what to expect in our interview. In an interview, how should I, what should I wear? What questions are being asked? And I always tell them there's 3 questions you're going to get in their interview. One is what in your education and your experience qualifies you for this position, right? And the second one is, tell us a teamwork situation where you had to work with an employee that was not working with the team. How did you manage that? And there's a lot of other questions, but there's one last one that I always tend to mention is there anything else you like to add? And a lot of the students say, well, what do you say? And I say, never say no, always expand, and all of you human resource experts know this, never leave the interview on a nothing. I have nothing else to. So that really helps, and students really appreciate that. But I've hired a number of people, and it's amazing. You get really good candidates, and their questions, that are standardized questions we have to score them. And the last question is not scored, but what you can do is expand upon other areas that will give the panel more information about yourself and hopefully set you aside, perhaps if you're a graduate from our Santiago Canyon College program or something. But we really appreciate the HR input, because the soft skills, in my opinion, are what's going to get you in the door and help you move up through the ranks. And we all kind of started as, maybe I'll speak for myself, as a student engineer / intern at LADWP many years ago. And I started out as a lab technician, worked my way up through a chemist. But the interviewing skills, I think, are key. And the people skills, the soft skills, are even more important now as we're trying to, navigate through the Zoom, and how do you interview in a Zoom interview or phone calls. So these are highly important. And thank you for that input. We do have, and Amy help me, we do have in our public works, I'm not sure if we have a professor here, but we do have kind of like the soft skills HR courses that we do offer, correct?
We have under business, we have some.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, some business classes. I know that real estate has incorporated a soft skills, a new course. Elena Gates has a new course that is soft skills specifically for real estate. So that might be something to look at and tweak and have that as an option for water.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jeffrey, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in the rest of the world, you know, especially with digital transformation and people and data analytics and things like that. More and more information is getting conveyed graphically. And in my experience, lots of people don't know how to even read the basics of graphs and tell a story with data and that sort of thing. And data are a big part of what a lot of operations does. So that's kind of things I'm interested in. It's like you must be running into people reporting back to their friends and colleagues that, boy, I wish I would have had this later in their careers. And so I'm just here to pick up anything I can.
I would agree with that. If there's some way, maybe in not statistics sounds, you know, wow, that's maybe a scary term for a lot of people, but if you can go through kind of basic data analytics statistics to kind of tell you what is your data telling you, what is, you know, how often are you running above your average, are you within your tolerance, you know, what is, you know, just to kind of make sense of that. So the basics of, you know, your samples, your percent, you know, of difference, or just basic things that you can use to put in and highlight, and talking about that in that way, and understanding that data really is a field separator, and somebody that can articulate that.
Thank you. This is really good information. I helped develop a course called Water Quality Analysis. It is a hands-on course to address the typical analysis an operator would analyze process-wise, like in a treatment plant, Heather. So you'd have your chlorine, for example, your pH, your nitrite, fluoride, conductivity. These are all scientific terms, but to your point, we're trying to get staff, number one, hands-on usage to some of these handheld instrumentations in a laboratory setting. It's a little difficult now. We have to keep our class sizes small because of the pandemic. However, I think this is where some of the data analytics with respect to drinking water quality in terms of parameters we're looking at. So that's a relatively new course, and I would encourage all of you to push that for your staff. It's water.
And even to the point of water loss, you know, you're going to really need to understand, that's a lot of data. So water loss calculations and what you're striving for, it'll come into play in that as well. And I agree with that point of water loss, because that with efficiency and conservation and everything moving forward is another hot topic.
Exactly. We do have an excellent course on water conservation that we've, you know, we have a certificate in that would cover some of that. I don't know the details of it, but Amy, we have an excellent professor that can handle that. Rachel Davis is she taught, now she's teaching it again. So that's her expertise. And we do have a course in water conservation. So we have, I just want to go over, most of you know this, but I just want to go over, we have 3 associate science degrees in our 3 primary areas of water treatment, water distribution, and wastewater. And I see we have our lone wastewater folks here, but not really lone, because Heather, you guys are working in wastewater, something I never thought Met would do, but we all are kind of Irvine Ranch. You guys all have a wastewater component. So this is an area that these are our 3 main focus areas. We have 6 certificates of proficiency, 3 in the same areas that I mentioned, but we also have our water conservation, water equipment and operation and maintenance, and water utility management. And I think the water utility management will hopefully get at some of these soft skills that I hear making copious notes on, that we can emphasize and utilize, because the water utility management covers some of the HR soft skills courses that we need to address.
Jeffrey, could I just real quick on the certificate for water equipment operation and maintenance? It just kind of brings up something that we talked about last year, which was even before COVID there, and we were having this discussion about how a lot of your classes were transitioning more to online. So I would imagine that in 2020, I mean, holy cow, it's probably all online. But one thing we discussed last year was, while that's, you know, kind of just the way of the future, it's unavoidable that a lot of classes are going to move online. I know that Dan and Todd, they really back this idea of having a kind of an in-person lab-based, you know, hands-on tools experience. Yes. Just like looking at the classes for water equipment operation and maintenance, it would seem crazy that someone could get that certificate without actually touching any of those tools. Could you just kind of talk about kind of where we left off with that and having more of this kind of lab time where you get hands-on with the tools?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Thanks, Ian. Because of COVID, we're very limited, but I think Lauren and others mentioned that the backflow prevention class, we currently have a new professor. He's excellent. He's Sham El-Mashad. He's from the County of Orange. And currently, I think our class is limited to 12. And we're trying to prioritize, and these classes always fill up. So to your point, Ian, this is probably our only hands-on class with respect to backflow prevention devices. But to your point, and I had my younger nephews, I was teaching them how to do yard work and which shovel would you use, and they don't have a clue. Of course, their dad got on my case, but I mean, there is a, and I don't want to bash our younger generation, that's our future, but hands-on tools or which tool to use is extremely important. And I'm long in the tooth and I worked with my hands a lot, so it comes natural to me, but others don't know which wrench to use, which screwdriver. And when you have these tests, and most of you know that, for operation and maintenance, that's a big part of the testing criteria. And I think apprentices cover a lot of that, but that's something we really need to focus more on, is the hands-on portion, Ian. And my prayer is that hopefully within the next couple of years, this COVID will be gone and we can, well, not gone, but we can work towards a more face-to-face, hands-on courses where we use real tools, real life situations where we can utilize the hands-on. Thank you for that.
Hey, real quick, well, Ian brought up that idea. Something else we talked about was stressing the importance, if you want to get into operation and maintenance, is looking at getting a commercial driver's license, you know, and that's going to give you a leg up during that interview, that you've already, you know, at least maybe gone and got your learner's permit, and made steps that way, or maybe you went through and got your commercial driver's license. So stressing that is important as well.
Thank you very much. That's a good point. I mentioned that in my courses that I teach. I also want to mention that the online course, to your point, most of our courses, over 80%, are online. We do have a couple of hands-on courses. We do have courses that meet face-to-face, but they're limited. And Amy can probably talk more to this, but we have to have a distance education addendum. All of our professors that teach online have to pass a pretty rigorous online training to make it ADA accessible. I have my closed caption on. I should have turned it on. Sorry about that.
Jeffrey, I have a question. And,
Yes.
you know, because we're all talking about, you know, the pandemic and how that's affecting, obviously we can't get interns into our plant and things like that. What if we set up something like this, something virtual where students could talk to real life managers and operators or supervisors, and they can ask the questions that they want to ask? Because, you know, when Dan talked about that, it's great that we're all coming together, but the people that we're currently working with, they have already gone through these programs and they already have their certifications.
Right.
I think what might be helpful right now until we can get people back together is maybe setting up some of these virtual kind of classrooms with a panel of people. And they ask, you know, the students can ask our managers or our supervisors, how did you do it? What was your story? How did you get in there? You know, and then like to Dan's point, well, it helped me because I already had my permit for my commercial license. It helped me because I went to somebody and they helped me with my interviewing skills and with my resume, those little types of things. Right, we are also trying to work with the veterans to kind of help veterans get into the water industry. And those were some of the things that we were going to do for them, again, before the pandemic hit. But we could do that with students, just telling our stories and saying how we got it. And then also letting people know and promoting your organization and your agency and saying, and then this is what helped me move up. They offered reimbursements for my education. So it helped me get more certifications, you know, so then they will say like, wow, it's great. Irvine Ranch is the best place to work, or Molten Miguel, you know, really fits what I want to do, you know, kind of talking about that. But because we can't be together and we might not be able to put those tools in their hands, but we could work this way on those soft skills virtually.
Excellent. Caroline.
Could I comment on that? I could not agree with you more. I know when I went through the classes there 30 years ago, it was a mix of people that were already in the business, some of them for years and years, and they just wanted to improve themselves. And a lot of people that were just trying to break in, and that mix really helped in that the younger guys or the newer people trying to break in could talk to the guys that were already in. And it just, I think it added so much to the program that you're just not going to get online. And I know everything's going that way, but if there's a way to fit the online classes to where you at least have that interaction, kind of like a Little House on the Prairie kind of thing. I'm dating myself there, but where you have different people that have been in for different amounts of time talking to the younger people, it just helps so much to have that interaction. I think
I'd really
it
like
helped
to
me a lot.
interject. I'm a board member on VitalLink, and that's their whole purpose and mission. And they already have the tools set up to do that and implement that. And you have a relationship with VitalLink already. So that's a plug and play opportunity for the community college. Easy to set that up, easy to do. It's already part of the mission, and we're already making those linkages. So I think, you know, that's an easy thing to implement.
And we already have the people. It's all of us right here on this call that have the experience and really want to help those people. So we've got our panel members right here.
I was going to mention too, it could also be a bridge to speaking to the pathways from high schools up to, you know, other things. You could establish these with your SCC classes, but then also share the opportunity with the high schools that maybe you have those dual credit opportunities or agreements with already. It's a great way to, you know, get and reach those high school students to then, so that they know what is needed moving forward. I know I could speak to, my husband was a professional architect, and now he teaches engineering and architecture for CTE for an ROP district up in San Bernardino. And he does this, he brings in a lot of his professional speakers. It's an optional thing for certain classes. It's usually after school. It's virtual, which creates the opportunity to get a lot of different diversity of speakers because they're not having to come to a location. And it's something that's even portable as we move through COVID and out of COVID. You know, having these online tools really expands that opportunity to get the reach and have that opportunity to get both those that are kind of coming up in the pathway and those that you're engaging with your classes currently.
Yeah, and good point, Heather. Some of us, I know Ian and Jeffrey, we're all involved with the WIA program. And I know I wasn't able to go to the last meeting, but I know they've been working really hard to get those pathways into the high school. So I don't know, Ian, if you have an update on where we're at with that, but I know that they've been working really hard, MODOC and Molten Miguel and a lot of the water industries trying to get those pathways into the high school.
Yeah, and just the comment on, I guess, Jeffrey, you know, this is our time to get feedback, but and so feedback can a lot of the times be constructive criticism. But I would like to give a quick positive on, you know, during 2020, obviously we were all kind of thrown through the ringer. But one thing I really liked that Santiago did is that they still put on the career webinar series. And so there was that opportunity, and Molten Miguel did participate in that, and we had, you know, Todd speaking to your students, and one of those students is actually going to come work for us now, and was inspired by that career webinar series. So that, you know, even if we are virtual, there's still room to do stuff, and you guys did. So I do want to just point out that it's not like no one's been doing anything. There's been some good work there. Yeah, Lisa, on the WIA stuff. Yeah, we had our meeting yesterday. I would say the biggest thing for me that I'm, you know, I'm such a champion, and Molten Miguel is for Santiago Canyon College. Could someone, and I don't know if it's Jeffrey or someone else, answer the question on when we're looking at the like certificates of proficiency, right? Are those classes, are those considered quote unquote CTE? Are they not CTE? So Amy, you're nodding yes. So they are CTE?
Everything under the umbrella of water, everything we offer in water is career education, yeah.
Okay, and so I think that's one thing that at WIA that we're really talking about is like we need more CTE, and then I'm sitting there saying, well, you know, Santiago Canyon College offers all of these classes, but I'm always nervous to kind of overstep and then be like, no, that's not CTE. That's community college, completely different. So I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page with that definition. And as you said, for the career pathways, making sure high school kids are aware of, hey, once I finish high school, what should be my next step? And if you want to get into water, it should be enrolling at Santiago Canyon College. I mean, that should be your next step.
And thank you, Ian. We have a course specifically designed for that. It's Water 020, Introduction to Water Science, and even our math class, Water 050, which is our prerequisite for most of our water distribution and water treatment classes. Those are designed, quote unquote, for high school, because I always tell my students, and thank you for all of you that have completed the program here, most of the folks are trying to get their certification, whether it's distribution or treatment. Wastewater is kind of different because you need a year of experience, but we do have a wastewater program. But to get your distribution license 2 and treatment license 2, there's 2 courses that are required, and that's water mathematics and hydraulics 050 and water treatment, water 071. And the state, you can apply, there's a 2-step process, you know, you apply and then now you take the test at a computer-based testing area. But that would get you once you take these 2 courses and do well, they prepare you for the D2 and T2 distribution and treatment level 2 with no experience. And high school, I mean, that's a perfect kind of avenue for someone coming out of high school to get in the door. And for any other, you know, potential student to get in our program. But I just wanted to highlight a little bit more because I don't want to take up a whole lot of time. And I got a lot of valuable stuff in here. I know this is recorded, but I did want to talk about our apprentice. And thank you, Heather. We have a lot of MWD students enrolled in our water treatment class. And I want to encourage all of you to, if you're apprentice, because it's 100% online, it's self-paced. I've been teaching the class now for full time for many years, but that's my expertise. And I do want to thank Professor Steve McLean. He was the kind of father of our program here, along with Jim Gates back in the day. So these are the folks that I'm trying to fill in their shoes. But the apprentices, the feedback I'm getting, because they work in the plants, a lot of them are mechanical, they can see the different processes. It really helps them as apprentice or internships. And I do want to thank all of you that we currently have interns ship programs with. We're trying to expand that.
Jeffrey, one quick question. Do you see a lot of people that are in current water jobs just coming back to your college to get a refresher or a booster shot in areas?
Yes, we do. I don't want to mention any other organizations' names, but if you look at the cost of $23 a unit, I think it's a really good way. Not only are we the largest and the best school, but it's a really good way to get your continuing education units and your refresher units, and to obtain a certificate to help you. That may be the tipping point if you're in an interview to say that I have a couple more certificates in water treatment or water distribution. So the shorter answer is yes, Erwin, but we do have our average student is kind of in the field already working, looking to advance their skill sets. And we do have a lot of certificates and they're stackable. So if you get your certificate of proficiency in water treatment, all you need is a class or two. You can get the same certificate in distribution and so forth. So we're really trying to enhance students' learning, but we really need input from you. And what I'm hearing, and Amy helped me with this, but I like the idea of the moving into an environmental compliance component, because that, that would be extremely important with respect to, water treatment. Even though water treatment, environmental science, there's some crossover, but I think that would be an excellent opportunity. Water loss, I heard a lot. And we do have our conservation program, and we can get a certificate of proficiency in water conservation. And I think water loss is a key component of that. But I just want to cover a couple more things. We do have our code enforcement. Vanessa, you want to mention anything, please? You there, Vanessa? I guess not, but we have a really good program. We're working with, we're continuing to work with high schools and veterans, as you mentioned, but we have with public administration and code enforcement and water utility management, my view is that we can use different courses, including GIS. Someone mentioned mapping. There's a good nexus for all of those to have a stackable certificate, particularly in the, not survey, but everybody has to kind of read a plan every now and then, right? So reading a plan, public administration, water utility, GIS, these are all up and coming fields that we need to expand on. So we're working on that as we speak to have more stackable certificates within the umbrella of water utility and public admin, code enforcement. So that's something new we're working on. And again, thank you for all your industry updates on, we're really trying to expand our efforts with respect to internships. And you can work with Amy, and we do have somebody designated for intern.
Caroline Fortuno is our job coordinate, job
developer, right?
Developer, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. So we have an ongoing apprenticeship program with Metropolitan, and thank you, Orange County Sand District, East Orange County Water District, and Rolling Water District is kind of new. And our latest one we're trying to work with is Cal Water. So existing apprenticeships are I think are extremely valuable because of the online course. Most of our students work or, you know, have to work, and the online courses, I have to admit, some of our professors are face-to-face. And I let them choose, you know, which modality is most effective for them to teach in. I'm old school, I prefer face-to-face, but now that I'm doing this Zoom, I'm learning, I got my lighting. I don't know how I look.
Never discount good lighting.
Yeah, lighting is the key, I heard, but all of you look wonderful, so thank you. But I think this is the way to go. And I love the part where students need to see you and to ask you questions. Because they hear it from me and they're like, yeah, okay, 40 years, we get it. But how did you start? Well, you know, it's just like your first house is probably not going to be the house you're going to live in, right? Or apartment, you know, you're going to move up. So I use examples like that, but there isn't a quick fix to anything, but the key is education. I'm a big, strong believer in it. That's why I'm teaching now after I so-called retired. I want to give back, you know, and I think all of us have that skill set here to be able to give back and offer the students more than the hard courses in these soft skills, as we mentioned. Just a couple of other things. We did have our, I think it was mentioned, we had our career webinar series. That's scheduled for the week of May 3rd. So if you can, I need to work with Carolyn on that, but that was successful.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
On your apprenticeship program, and you listed several agencies that you work with, when you have students enroll in that program, do you provide labor to those agencies? Or how does that work?
They are hired through the agency. Our Metropolitan Water District apprenticeship program is just for MWD employees, and it's very limited. Like every 3 years, they open them up for a new cohort of students, and there's like going to be 12 spots, and they have, you know, 2,000 applicants. So,
right.
Yeah, they do have a job, but it's at MWD.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up question related to the same subject, and especially when it comes to apprenticeships and internships and how that might relate to high school, because I know we're also trying to bridge that gap between high school and college and getting some interest in our field before they go to college. And I had been working with OCSD for a little while and providing internships for high school students, but I think there were some HR concerns around that. And I was curious if the HR professionals might be able to speak to any barriers or limitations, or how do we provide those opportunities for high school kids to figure out or get a taste of this as a career. And then also community colleges. I know some are starting to offer courses to high school students so that they can get an idea right before they go to college, what area they would like to pursue. And I'm wondering if there's a pathway there as well.
Can I jump in on that? Because I think that's a great point. There's in this industry, there's a lot of what I call niche positions. And sometimes it's really hard to find the right person for them. And they're usually working in the warehouse, supply management, the mechanics, safety is another one. And I don't know if that's too granular for the college to get into, because usually districts have a limited number of those positions. But maybe we could come up with a master list of any potential job position at these water districts. And then for each one of those, come up with a roadmap we can give these kids and say, okay, if you're interested in this, here's what you need to do specifically for this, and the classes you need to take, even if it's out of Rancho Santiago's realm of influence, like safety might be. I don't know if they have a safety program there. But then at least these kids could have like a menu item of, hey, I'm interested in this and this. And then they're not really focused on getting certificates for anything else, and they just focus their attention on those. But there's just so many positions at these water districts that, especially what I call the niche positions, that really don't make the headlines. And it usually we end up hiring from outside, somebody from the private industry that's had experience in warehouse or whatever. But I think it'd help the kids if they had a menu of, hey, here's all your options. And I think between us, we could come up with that from all of our experience. That was it.
And Lisa, to answer your question about, you know, from an HR perspective, what some of the challenges can be. Well, one, if they're in high school, they're a minor. I think the big part of it is what they would be doing in that internship, because there's risk, you know, I mean, if it's going to be in an office setting, there's probably going to be a low risk. But if that internship is being out in the field and they're a minor, you know, so I think every situation would be different, and we just would have to address, you know, look at each one.
Just to add on to that, we do have other programs where like Cal State Fullerton and UCI, they have a job shadow program. And these allows the students to see what opportunities are available at the different agencies. And then they can apply for the job shadow, which is usually like a 4 hours or 8 hours per day. So what they do is they'll post that on their website and they'll advertise it to all their students, and students have the opportunity to select what position they would like to job shadow. We've had several students do that with Art Every Day for probably the last 2 years. And they'll usually come in for the 4 hours. They'll go through a safety review with the department, which they'll be job shadowing with, and they'll be assigned to an individual. And they'll shadow that person throughout the course of the 4 or 8 hours. So I think that might be also a good alternative if we don't have an internship going on.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, you know, I have 2 teenage boys and they have jobs. They get hired, right, with HR and, you know, so they can get jobs as teenagers. And I'm just trying to understand why there's a barrier to our industry in getting jobs. Like why can they get jobs at other places, but not with us as teenagers? Just curious.
I know Job Corps was very involved at one particular time. I'm not sure if Heather was here, but she's gone. But yeah, I worked when I was a teenager. But yeah, I guess the risk, and some of you HR and Erwin, I think the issue is all about risk and how much risk you want to take. But, you know, high risk, high reward with respect to getting them in the door, I think, but that's all risk management issue, HR issues, way out of my league of expertise. But we do have individuals in our program that are under 18 that are taking our water courses. And I think it's important to get them started, at least college credit while in high school.
And then just to chime in on that, because I know a few of you mentioned working with high school students, a way to kind of help bridge, and that might be something you all want to discuss, like what classes we should kind of be emphasizing or pushing for high school students so that they're prepared when they turn 18 to either have an internship or potential job opportunity with you all, would be our dual enrollment program. So our dual enrollment program, I provided a link in the chat.
Oh, your internet's being flooner and now you're stuck.
Probably can't hear you.
Get the link.
Poor Amanda, but there's a link in the chat.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, you guys still, this is Dave Crow again. Are you guys still working? Last year when we did this event, there was somebody from North Orange County, ROTC. Is that still being explored, bringing ROTC and bridging ROTC with the high schools to your water?
Know the answer. I don't know the answer to that. Amy, have you heard that?
I don't know of anything that we have going with ROTC right now. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda. Can you finish? You were saying you posted the link. I see it in the chat, and that's where
I'm like the one time I have to say something, I get cut out. Go figure. Oh my gosh. So all I was saying was we have the dual enrollment program. I provided the link, but that is a really good opportunity. It might be a way to bridge kind of what everyone's saying. So as Jeffrey mentioned, we have the Water O2O class, which is an intro course. But if there are students that are kind of go-getters, want to start exploring the dual enrollment program for high school students, it is free if you take certain amount of units, like under 12. So that might be something that some of you might want to start discussing, or if you have questions, definitely let us know, but that's a good opportunity. And maybe if they took 1 or 2 classes before they even graduated, and then at the time that they turned 18, they may be a little bit better suited for an internship or potentially job opportunity.
Certainly.
And thank you, Amanda. I want to give you a lot of credit, and Amy, because I send a lot of my students to both of you, particularly you, Amanda, because the questions they have are like, what classes, do I need to take? I mean, I can give them a broad, kind of spectrum, but if they need their general education requirements coupled with some of their water classes, this is where Amanda Campbell can help our counselor. So thank you so much, Amanda. She's a great resource. It's about 9:20, 18. I'm not going to go to 10 o'clock. I think we're going to finish up here around 9:30, but I do want to add a couple of things. If we could kind of get your feeling of where the job market may look like in 1 to 5 years, you can send me an email, or if you something pressing right now, but what I'm hearing so far, the soft skills, number one, to get into the field, leak, that whole O&M management, hands-on tools, how do you use stuff once COVID settles down and we get back to our normal class size. I think we can address a lot of those, but I'm trying to forward looking. That's why we're doing our automation, get our water industry folks involved in electricity, electronics, PLCs. I think it's important, but if you have any idea or comments you'd like to share with respect to what you think your industry is going to look like.
Asset management.
Yeah, I was going to say our
exactly what I was going to say. Asset management, CMMS, GIS, a lot more automation, and everybody in the field is going to have to get comfortable using a computer. That's one of our biggest struggles right now is the guys who have been on the job for years don't want to input data, and everything's going to be data driven going forward.
Yeah, I was going to add that even as backflow and cross connection, as simple as backflow seems, I have added an Excel portion to my interview process and a Word document portion to my interview process because I need those skills. I need them to be able to manipulate data in Excel, to save Word documents, to change them and convert them to PDF, to download, to upload PDFs. I mean, manipulate test forms and things like that, and the information on them is super important for me. And I'll add cross connection courses. AWWA is not teaching any this year. It's not on their calendar at all. USC is doing 4 online, but we were all required to cut our domestic water use. So we all are converting to more and more recycled water use. And we got to do these inspections now that are mandated by the state and federal, and we can't get these guys certified. So I know your backflow class, because I know Sham, we started at the county together, is maxed out, and you had a wait list and people were trying to get onto the wait list from waiting on the second wait list. So they need to get through backflow in order to get into cross connection. That's just how it works. And now we don't even have people to do cross connection courses. And if you guys could open that up, that would be huge too.
We're hoping that we'll be able to
teach
offer it. Or we're hoping to be able to offer it again in summer. Sham is working to put the lecture part online, and then they'll just come on campus to do the hands-on. And then we are working on our water lab had structural problems with sinking. So we're trying to get a new water lab set up. They're moving forward on that.
Great. Yeah, I just know that we need to get them through that backflow course in order to get them into the cross connection classes. And then we need the cross connection classes because AWWA doesn't have a teacher right now. And I think USC is the only one doing it. So that's kind of a drive.
Thank you very much. to Amy's point, we are going to be offering at least our backflow prevention class every semester now.
Great.
Not the intercession.
Push Sham, make him teach more.
Yeah.
He can do it.
I'd
Yes.
also like to throw out integrated water management. I think right now we're all very siloed. I think the future of water is working together and having people understand the different types of water and how to manage it as a single resource rather than as separate resources. So IRWD, we do all kinds of water under one house. Most people don't. I think we're going to start moving in that direction. So I think people need to understand stormwater, how that's going to interact with wastewater in the future. It's a huge topic right now. What are we going to do with recycled water? What are we doing with groundwater, drinking water? All of these systems are going to start converging, especially in Southern California, where water is a limited resource.
I think Lisa's point is also true. Like if you recall the UCLA LA DWP water break, one of the big lessons that LA Department of Water and Power learned was to solve that problem. They ended up having to bring all the parties that were affected by that break, which was a lot of agencies, a lot of government entities, and they brought them all in the room and they began solving those issues together. And that's some of the soft skill stuff that I think a lot of people didn't have or don't have. And I think that's going to be, along your point, Lisa, that's going to be more common as people collaborate across functions more. That's where businesses are headed in general. And the data and digitization part of the world makes that a necessity.
Thank you. These are all excellent examples of what we need to do. Thank God this is being recorded. But I just had one other thing.
Jeffrey, can you tell us the date of that career webinar again? I want to make sure we get that on our calendar.
Yeah, it's scheduled for May 3rd, but let me work with Caroline for tutoring.
Okay.
Amy, do you have more information on that?
Yeah.
Can't hear you, Amy.
I thought I pushed the right button. I'm looking on our website. If I can find a link to that, I will get that.
Thank you. Well, thank you all. This was, I think, a very good Zoom meeting. I'm still learning, getting my lighting right, but look like you guys are way ahead of the curve. Thank you very much to all of you. I'm sure I'll have some notes I'll follow up. I'll forward to you once we get these recordings transcribed. Sorry about the closed caption. I couldn't figure that out, but I think we all kind of understood everyone. But I think the main thing is that we need input from you to make our students successful, to keep our program growing. And one of the things that I found is that students really want to learn, but more importantly, they want to work. You know, they want to get a job. So they always ask me, where are the jobs? Professor Dennis, where are the jobs in water treatment, water distribution? I always tell them, and I hope I'm telling them right, that there's more jobs in O&M and distribution than there are in treatment. Now, is that really what's out there now? I mean, some of you with distribution systems or O&M, I'm just trying to get a feedback because I'm still thinking about MET and LADWP. Typically, there's more jobs in water distribution than there are in water treatment. Would that be a true statement?
I would agree with that. I'm in maintenance, and we're always trying to get people. Especially people that have some ability to write, operate computers, understand the asset management side, the CMMS. That part of it is a struggle to try to find fact-based writing. Leave the opinion out of it and just write to the facts of what the equipment's doing, what you found, how you fixed it. All of that is key for maintenance.
Maintenance is the key. Thank you. Maintenance. I think it's more maintenance. The wrench turners, the guys outside the fence, more jobs there. But again, there's also a lot of jobs in the soft skills. Water utility management, as we mentioned, and so forth. So we're doing our best to try to meet the students' needs, and we couldn't do that without your input. And again, I want to thank all of you for your participation here. It's getting close to 9:30, and I didn't want to go further than that. But if there's anything else anyone wanted to add before we close, I can leave it open. And I'm here till 10 or however long you want to be. But I just wanted to manage everyone's time is valuable, so I didn't want to go too long.
Hey, Dennis, this Mike Sullivan is just kind of a job hack. There was a good example about MWD where they want 10 people and they get 2,000 applications. Ours isn't quite that bad, but we're looking for a couple and we'll get hundreds. But for a public agency, generally they have to post those jobs internally first. So just kind of getting into the whatever the agency is behind the curtain in whatever kind of job you can get. And we're looking for a treatment plant operator. We have to post it internally first, and there's 2 people. So you're, instead of competing against 100, you're competing against like one other person. Now that means you got to go get a job there and kind of work in that area. But if they can't get the job they're looking for, I wouldn't be shy about just getting into the agency you want to work for, and then wait for those openings to pop in that way.
Excellent.
And I have the opposite. I have an open position right now that's posted, and I have 4 applicants. And I'm like, I guess leave it open for another 2 weeks and hope somebody else, because it's such a niche. So if anybody has a backflow or cross connection person somewhere, there's an opening.
You send that to Amy and I, and we can get it circulated with our students.
Yeah, it's BC Water Jobs. It's up there. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lauren. Well, thank you all. Be safe, be well. I really appreciate your input and time. And again, our program, we could not run our program without your input to make it current and successful. So we really appreciate all of you. Thank you for Zooming in today. And with that, we can close the meeting. Thank you.